Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ELLC monthly roundup. My name is Debbie, and this October we are exploring the theme of hospitality. And that's a new theme having come up from three kind of pitfalls for leadership in the previous monthly topics. And today I'm very excited to have two amazing people who have joined me to discuss the theme for the month. And it's JP from YWAM Geneva, who really carries hospitality and welcoming people in his work and in his being. And I've known him for a long time, and I'm sure he will add some good wisdom and share some of the things that have been shared on the topic this month. So welcome, JP.
Thank you.
And we also have Sam, who I work with here, and Sam is part of the leadership team here in Burtigny, and really is passionate about helping people discover their identity and walk alongside people. And I am sure she will add a lot of wisdom and insight from her own unique perspective as well. So welcome, Sam, and it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
And so, the theme of the month is hospitality, which is exciting because it's also one of our YWAM values. And I think also one of the most misunderstood topics, if you would, because people have kind of different ways of thinking about it. But the resources from this month, going from the talks to the articles, I think really give a robust view on what hospitality really is, and is this call to remember why it's a value for YWAM and how powerful it is. And so I'd just like to start off with you, Sam. What are some of the things that have stood out to you and resonated as you listened to and consumed some of the materials for this month?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many amazing things that got shared in the videos and the articles, but one that really impacted me was Carl sharing on contextualized hospitality. And I love the image that he used with the cups and how different things speak to different people, and being so intentional about what is going to speak to this person, not necessarily what would speak to me or what would I like to do or how would I like to host them or cook for them, but what is actually going to impact them and help them feel loved, feel at home, feel seen. And we love having people over for dinner, but sometimes we'll have specific meals like, okay, we'll make this meal or we'll make this meal because we know we do it very well and usually people enjoy it. But we're not always thinking, what does this person like to eat? What is your favorite food? What is your favorite drink? What is home like to you from where you're from? And so I really love that, of just stretching, just stretching beyond what we're comfortable with, I guess, what we know, what we feel good about, and looking what is going to serve them, what's going to help them feel loved.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good challenge for all of us. It's like, instead of thinking about ourselves and putting ourselves as the subject, when we're thinking about hospitality, we switch that thinking and instead focus on the person we're inviting. Yeah, that's a really great reminder. Thank you, Sam. What about you, JP? What stood out and resonated with you from the material this month?
I think for me, I joined some, I think that the material was actually really good, and good articles and videos, and like a broad, there was a lot of different perspective to it. So that was actually rich. I think for me, it is just that it will cost me to do hospitality. It has to be, it doesn't have to be, but most of the time it will be a sacrifice if you want to do it well. And I think part of our non-YWAM value is written down, but at least one of my values, but I think it should be all of his values, excellence. So if you want to do things well, of course, a glass of water sometimes is just what's needed. But sometimes you will have to spend money to get flowers in the room, you know, so it will cost you, or you will actually have to spend an afternoon working on something so that that person specifically or that group will feel welcome. And I think for me, it reminded me how much this is actually a sacrifice. I mean, Jesus' ultimate act of hospitality was to die on the cross so that we can actually go home. And for me, what does that mean? What is my cross? And each time I receive someone or I meet someone in around my table, in my home or outside. And I think, yeah, for me, that was a good reminder to read all of this. That's what was pondering in me, being like, but yeah, it will cost you, but this is what will bear fruit. This is what will make the difference, you know? And so it's almost like taking the perspective that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
It will cost me, but I can do that with joy because I know that someone else will benefit from what has costed me.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was thinking about also something that was mentioned during the leadership lounge, and I don't remember if it was Debbie or her husband that mentioned it, about like in leadership, when you think about hospitality, that it's actually the art of seeing people. And I thought that was such a good way of capturing that definition of it, that it's about people. It's not about activities alone or doing stuff, even though of course it includes that, but it's also just about seeing people. I'm curious about you guys' thoughts. So one of the reoccurring things that I saw both in the videos, but also in the articles, was several of the authors mentioned or referred to hospitality as an act of listening. And I thought that that was really fascinating that they would kind of highlight that and focus on that. And I thought that that was also a very refreshing kind of thought or lens to look at hospitality. Did that stand out to you guys? What did you think about that?
I know for me that I saw that thread as well. I think almost every single subject or content that was out referenced listening and the importance of listening. And I think it's so valuable because when we're asking good questions, when we're so attentive and ready to listen, not add in our own stories, not that we can't, but we're not just constantly talking about ourselves, our own experiences, it helps people feel seen, to feel heard, like, oh, you're actually interested in me. It's not just a task like, come eat with us, okay, bye. It's real, I want to know you. I genuinely want to know about you. I want to know your life. I want to know what you like, what you don't like, and your testimonies, because we genuinely care about other people. And so for me, that spoke a lot of, am I truly caring for the person in front of me? Am I truly interested in them as a person? Or is it just like another kind of, oh yeah, hi, bye, or so happy to have you, you know, just kind of a check in the box, but am I really being present and attentive to what they have to share? Because it could be something amazing that I never thought about, or just helping someone feel seen and heard, and that they walk away feeling like, wow, that was such an amazing time. I feel so refreshed and encouraged.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's also about understanding what are the people real needs, because often people, they will stay shallow, you know, if they have to. First, a meal will allow that to not happen, because after a while you actually get more comfortable and trust, so you open more. But I think like the way people speak or listening is not just with your ear, but it's just also, for me, it's like sensing the person, sensing, I mean, the tiredness on their face or the joy, or, you know, just like, who do you have in front of you and what are the emotions going on? And also, I think, like, for me, like, the fact of listening is also realizing that I don't have to answer to everything that's being said, that I am not God that has the answer for everything. But what are the things that I'm listening that actually I can provide, or where is the encouragement, or, you know, and sometimes just listening is enough for people. That's already like a huge act of people said, okay, I've been able to just speak and explain and let it go. So yes, listening is
Yeah, those are very insightful. Thank you, guys. So JP, just before we hit record, you were mentioning something that I thought would be really great if you also shared on here, and that was around this sort of hospitality being something that we learn and we grow in, as opposed to something that is kind of a, you know, I'm blessed or I'm naturally hospitable or I'm not. Because that was something also that Debbie mentioned that I thought was very helpful, as hospitality being something, it's not a natural endowment that is exclusive to some people. So could you speak a little bit into that? Because I think that would be, that was a great insight.
Well, for me, well, I mean, we all created different, we all wired different, we all sense and have different taste. So there is things for which we are naturally more drawn, or this is easier to do than some for others. Some people have very musical, they pick up an instrument and like, and some people have to work for it. But ultimately, I think both have to work for it, you know. But I don't think there's such thing as a, yeah, you're just good because you're good. I think this is something that you grow into and that you learn, that you realize, that you train yourself. I've learned lots as we run a DTS, around the table DTS, and we made a workshop about flower arrangement. You know, I had never done that, but it helped me realize how we use beauty, how to organize beauty, you know, what is too much beauty and what is not enough, and how to try to put it together. And the first time I made a flower, honestly, I'm not sure I would have given it to my wife. But this is something that you try again, and eventually you get to a place where you're more comfortable. And the time after, because I mean, we're not born all for that. I think like the time after you put flower and you really try to think about something else than flowers that can come around the meal or the table. And I feel sometimes we think about hospitality, we have in our mind that everything has to be perfect, everything has to be set, and from the way, you know, the art of the table to the flower to the food, and food decorating in your plate, of course. And you know, and I think sometimes it's really about your heart that want to learn and your heart that want to give and listen to the people. And if you have flowers because that's what you could give, and great. And then you grow into more. So for me, that means that it should not be a stress that I'm not good at it, so I can't do it. But I can learn and I can use whatever I know.
Yes, because sorry, was that a sign for something?
Yes, I was trying to say, I had another thought, actually, only 1 more minute. It's like creativity. Also, because I feel that some people are saying I'm not creative. And I think there is creativity in every person that is very different. And sometimes for some people, you have to go look for it and be like, okay, what is the thing that is creative proper to me? And I think we are creative because we have the Spirit of God inside us. So we can give hospitality because we have the Spirit of God inside us. But it's not necessarily something that, again, that is done and we are like, yeah, you know, like, and everything is perfect. And yeah, that was just my extra thoughts.
Yeah, and it's really, really great. I think that's a good example as well, because it's one of those two things that you're like, it's not exclusive to some people and not others. We all have it. That potential rests inside each and every one of us. And I think to the point that you just shared, JP, I think this topic or theme comes at a very important time also, because I think a lot of our YWAM centers can relate to the fact that because we have this thing called hospitality, like department or team, I think it was a good idea, but I think it's also morphed into this thing that then it's just some people that do that and it's all one person. And I think then a lot of people find either not just awake to be actively engaged in the act of hospitality and welcoming people, or just, you know, no, I like, yeah, that's not my thing. So I think this is a really good awakening call to say, even if I don't belong to this team or this department, how can I still welcome people to my office environment or to our community or to our home? Because it's like hospitality is not just about our community, and like when we gather together, it's also about what we do around that. So I hope that, yeah, if you haven't listened to the materials at all, go back and listen to it, because that point, at least I think, hits home to a lot of other people. So what about in your own lives? Like, what have you guys seen? Either maybe a story that has really worked for you guys, or a story that, you fumbled and you're like, oh, I learned, this is the key lesson that I've learned. Do you guys have personal stories you'd like to share?
I think something that was a big breakthrough for me was receiving hospitality. When I did my DTS, I remember somebody bought me a coffee at the cafe, and I felt almost bad about it. Like, oh no, you bought me like, I should go buy you a coffee. Like somehow we can have like an exchange or something. Because I grew up of this kind of mentality. You don't ask for help. You don't ask for things. You make your own way. But just receiving a cup of coffee with no expectation behind it was just so stunning for me. Like, oh, I don't need to do anything for you. I can just receive something. And I think that experience has helped me want to love on people even more and want to serve without having expectations, because I know what it can feel like being on the other side, where maybe you're used to always having like a give and take, and but how loving it is to be given something and not have any expectations that come with it. So that was something that was pretty impactful for me, and something that I hope I carry and really try to carry, of serving people and helping people without having any expectation behind it, and being willing to sacrifice, being willing to be generous with my resources, with my time, which can be hard sometimes because I have 3 little kids, 3 and under, so it can be a bit crazy trying to make space for people, or feeling that I even have something to be generous with. But it's so important to just inviting people over, hey, come hang out. And even though it may be chaotic and wild with all my little kids running around, but I see you and I want to give, and I give the little that I feel like I have right now, but I know how valuable it can be for the other person as well, and how it helps me realize that I do have something to give. I think giving helps fight kind of a poverty mentality as well. Like, oh no, I need to protect my time. I need to protect my resources. I need to, be really careful how I do things, versus an attitude of generosity helps you realize that, oh, God is good, and he'll fill me back up again. And I don't have to guard all of my resources and my time and protect myself, but being so ready to give to other people without expecting, or even if it seems small.
Yeah, that's a great story. Thank you so much for sharing. A reminder that we also need to receive, and it's not just one-sided, it's both. It's great.
Well, last week we had a friend that we invited here. He's a bit in trouble, and he's been moving from home to home because he didn't really have a place to stay. And I was praying, God, how do we welcome him? What does that mean to be a place of rest for the simple evening? And I felt to call him and to ask what he felt like eating, because, sometimes you crave for something, but you don't have a kitchen. I just called and said, what do you want to eat? And he said, it's fine right now. I've been set for 2 weeks in the same place. I had a kitchen, so it's been great. So I don't really have need, but I really appreciate you calling. And then I just kept in my mind, well, God make this evening a good evening for him. And it was really funny to see how God responded that through my kids. My kids were actually really open with him, and especially my third one, which is usually pretty wild and not necessarily the most friendly at first, but when it was time to go bed, she came and gave him a hug and a kiss, which, she would not do to many people. But he received love through a touch, and you could see that I feel that God was providing some love for him through my family and even one of my kids. And that allowed us to actually talk after that, and to be really at ease and to share. And I could really see how God took care of hospitality through also the rest of my family, and how God was setting this evening for him. So yeah, I think praying through it and asking God what he wants and giving him, you know, this thing, saying, okay, God, that's my heart. I want him to be well here. This evening, sometime he will also surprise us how much around the table our kids and family can intervene. So yeah, it might be a simple story, but for me, I was really touched to see how God used my daughter to go to someone, give a kiss and a hug and say good night, and how much that is exactly what that person needed in a time where I could not hug my friend. It's COVID, and you know, you do this thing to say hi, and community is fractured, and yeah, I think receiving people at home and trusting in God at that moment is really key.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Very nice.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. I feel very refreshed just talking with you guys, and I believe that the people that would listen would find some good insights and wisdom from that. And to people that would listen, there's also stuff from another Debbie. I feel like Debbie's took over this month, but there's another Debbie, not the Debbie on the lounge, with another video that talked about hospitality as a value for YWAM. And I think that that was a very good content to key into as well. And there's also the monthly drop-in that Miranda and Dick Brower and other people also shared content from. And I think overall it's just a treasure trove what this month kind of has on the theme for us. So thank you again. Hope I'll have you guys back on another topic. But yeah, hope you have a wonderful day and week. And until next time.